Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Children, adults, and older adults. My name is Saji Sharma, and I have immigrant parents. Sorry, I didn't ask for the thunder sound effect. That isn't supposed to be scary. I love my immigrant parents. In fact, I love them so much that I would just usually call them my parents, because immigrant parents sounds derogatory and like I have internalized racism. Hi, yes, it's so nice to meet you. These are my immigrant parents. Have I mentioned that they're immigrants? I would never introduce my parents as immigrant parents, just to get that out of the way. It's just for the video. Off to a great start here. As you could probably tell by the way that I'm dressed, this is a little bit of a different video. I kind of just wanted to impress your parents and let them know I'm someone that they can trust. In fact, I'm not even cursing in this video. Right after this one, hold on, I gotta get it out. Okay, we're good. And if you've clicked on this video, you might be the child of an immigrant. Or, if I'm lucky, and you forced your immigrant parent to sit down and watch this. Hi, I'm Saji. I already introduced myself, stupid. All you have to know, parent, is that you have great kids, and they love you very much. And if you want to show your support back, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel just like they did, because that's what made them so great. Now, why are we here today? Well, things are looking bleak for the state of the world at the moment. Climate change is as disastrous and unpredictable than ever. If you live in the United States, planes are more unsafe than when we first learned how to fly. Children are being pulled out of elementary schools to be deported. Hundreds of thousands of people are losing their government jobs. And egg prices are certainly not going down anytime soon. And to top it all off, you have immigrant parents. No thunder sound effect. We're making it seem like these parents are worse than all of those terrible things I just described. They're not. You're not. I'm sure you're very kind people. What I meant was, and to top it all off, you have immigrant parents who aren't as aware, or maybe don't seem to care about any of these issues, or are siding with the ideologies that frame a manipulated perspective of all of these things. Conservative, liberal, not politically affiliated, doesn't matter. Seeing a perspective that is against the country that gave you opportunity, gave you freedom, success to then build a family, a legacy, a name, that is a perspective that is oftentimes not even acknowledged as possible. It's a given that immigrants may feel admonished with guilt, a sense of loyalty, an obligation of gratitude, and a reluctance to criticize. Even just the cultural difference alone is enough to alienate a lot of people. But fascism is becoming more rampant by the day, drowning out more and more of the cultural identity belonging to hardworking and non-deserving immigrants. So today, I'm gonna be showing you how to radicalize your immigrant parent. Not maybe with the intention of converting them into outright Marxists, but in hopes to at least help open their eyes to a reality where we can at least feel comfortable and confident in criticizing a country like the United States of America. And the only way a productive conversation like that can come about is by knowing how to communicate effectively with your immigrant parent. So how do we do that? Well, there is and always will be an inherent disconnect between the way that immigrant parents view the world and the way that their children, us, we view the world. But by understanding the difficulties and the struggles of what our immigrant parents went through, we're better equipped to limit as much of that built-in dissonance as we can, so that we are able to have the important conversations. So, step one to radicalizing your parents as the child of an immigrant is understanding immigration. But before we get into that, another way that you might be able to cut through to your parents is by using a service that can actually provide you and your family with reliable and up-to-date news information. Guys, disinformation has become an epidemic. I know that you get your information from TikTok, and that's gotta end today. Well, lucky for you, Straight Arrow News is the sponsor of today's video. Straight Arrow News offers fact-based reporting that allows you to hear from both sides of the political spectrum. Their reporting is delivered to you without bias, filter, or spin. And with their tool, Media Miss, you can find the stories that are being intentionally underreported by the opposing sides of mainstream media, giving you a bird's eye view of your news. We need more ways to properly examine and decipher the information that we're consuming. So, if this is something that you're interested in, then go to san.com/Saji to check it out. You can visit through the link in my description, And when you visit, you not only support me, but you're also supporting a group of journalists that are raising the bar on news and focusing on serving you the truth. And thank you, Straight Arrow News, for sponsoring this video. Now, the first step to any sort of change is acknowledging that there is a problem in the first place. That's right, my sweet immigrant child, non-derogatory. You might not have expected me to open up this video by blaming you, but it's time to look in the mirror. Communication from any front requires the proper self-reflection. If you can't communicate and be understanding with yourself, how can you expect to do the same with others? And if you are taking this initiative, it's crucial that you begin with as much empathy and understanding as possible. I know we get sick and tired of being guilted by our parents. I sacrificed my life so you can live comfortably. So no, you can't hang out with your friends 2 days in a row. One is plenty. Which, did anyone else only get one day a friend hangout a week? Like if you went to Tommy's on Friday, you couldn't do it on Saturday as well? And as much as this annoyed me as a kid to see all my white friends get to play video games all day while I had to do Khan Academy, this is where we have to be empathetic and understanding. In my last video, I talked a lot about the effects of immigration and their amalgamation into something called the time capsule effect. This time capsule effect helps to explain that cultural dissonance by describing the phenomena of leaving your home country as something that preserves your perception and recollection of its culture, tradition, and way of life. Where while the rest of society in your home country progresses, you're left stuck in this time warp mentality. This explains the strict immigrant parents' stereotypes and the seemingly stagnant traditional values that a lot of immigrant parents still hold. Culturally, there is a drastic shift that immigrants experience when moving to a new country that conflicts with the culture that their children grow up with. So not only are our parents scared of their culture being lost, but that culture is also being threatened by this new and dissonant culture that their children, we, are growing up with. Their now progressed home country most likely isn't even nearly as caught up to living life in a place like the United States. So imagine the culture shock when holding on to even more outdated values. So as much as maybe we shouldn't be using past experiences to guilt our children, it is true. Our parents did risk a lot to be here. Not only their lives, but their culture as well. So when communicating with them, it's important to put yourself in their shoes so that approaching a conversation about personal beliefs and ideologies can begin from a place of mutual understanding. So now that we have a foundation for that communication, how can we convince our parents that maybe America bad? Well, there are two key elements important in understanding the cultural and individual assimilation our parents had to partake in, which now shape who they have become. And the first is imperialism. Our parents want to preserve their culture. So why does it feel like they don't seem to care about who to vote for, or how to invest in their own community, or even issues detrimental to the safety of people that may look just like them? Well, Western imperialist propaganda was unfortunately very effective on immigrants, a sort of trauma bonding, if you will. Now this time I will be holding you, parent, accountable. Thought you'd be getting off scot-free, huh? Sure, you risked your life during the Great Migration, but should you have had to? Should we be risking our lives just to ensure that our children don't have to? And why can't we seem to criticize the system that's made this the only option? Yes, you're allowed to goad all you want, you did it. But it's time to look in the mirror, preferably the same one your kid was just using, and ask, why was that the only option? My roommate and childhood best friend, Rohan, gave me some insight on his parents' perspective of America. Growing up in a small village in India, my parents viewed America as this fabled land of infinite opportunity. A place where they wouldn't be limited by their own parents' background and lack of resources. This idea maintained in their mind as they began to accomplish things through resources they never would have gotten access to back in India, essentially fulfilling the so-called American dream. Ah, yes, the American dream. This land of freedom, of opportunity becomes a saving grace for countless people, a way to transform your life instead of living in slums with little to no chance of economic prosperity. Because of this, a relationship is formed, one that tends to be pretty abusive. I'll be using America as my reference point just because of my family's personal experiences, but this can all be correlated to the rest of the Imperial West. Immigrants go through shit. Anti-immigration sentiment, discrimination in the workplace, blatant racism. But these are all things seen as requirements necessary to overcome in order to achieve the goal of success. Now, these are all just norms. It has become the immigrant experience, the standard, even. But America was the only place where success like this is even possible. So immigrants pull through by the skin of their teeth and then feel like they owe it their life because it has given them that life. But we actually don't owe them anything. They actually owe us everything. Western imperialism destabilized our shit. Colonialism stole our resources, killed our people, set our countries back hundreds of years just to turn around and say, weird that your country's in ruins. I wonder how that happened. But you can come and work for us and any of our friends, and not only will we underpay you, but we'll also make everyone hate you too. And then you say, well, I kind of have no choice, so sure. I'm not saying people have to hate America, but the nuance here is important because it informs our ability to decipher and critique a state that actually doesn't have our best interest at heart. If America really had your best interest at heart, maybe people wouldn't have had to risk their lives to survive here in the first place. But hey, that's just a theory. A proven theory. But Western imperialist propaganda has already had plenty of time to soak into an entire generation. And the results of this are a little bit scary. Guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. Immigrants are Republican. Immigrants are becoming more conservative by the year, and it literally doesn't make any sense. Or it shouldn't. In 2014, a study was done that analyzed the 18.6 million immigrant citizens in America and found that literally half, 50%, reported as not being affiliated with either the Democrat or Republican Party. And that doesn't even qualify the non-citizen immigrants. So, over 10 years ago, neither of the two major political parties really had anything to offer for the immigrant majority. How have things changed since? Well, now every major ethnic group in America is shifting to the right. Indian Americans, Vietnamese Americans, Latino Americans, Arab Americans, and even the immigrants that do affiliate themselves with the Democratic Party still tend to hold more socially conservative beliefs. So this is step 3, understanding immigrant politics. Yeah, I'm taking off my glasses that I can't use because I have contacts in. Again, I really want to impress your parents. The politics of an immigrant are determined by how deeply Western propaganda has affected them. And usually, immigrants in America tend to either lean conservative or hold more socially conservative beliefs in general. This is because, although neither end of the spectrum really suits their needs, the American conservative ideology at least somewhat aligns with a lot of core traditional values these cultures hold. These traditional values are then exemplified and blend into American conservatism when facing the self-isolating realities of working as an immigrant in America. These hardships that we talked about can lead to a lack of community, a push to self-isolate, and for those that have to wait decades just to even obtain their green card, a lack of care for politics at all. The shift to slightly conservative values in a large percentage of the diaspora, I think, has a lot to do with the self-preservation mindset a lot of immigrants adopt. That was Rohan again. Thank you for the comment, roommate Rohan. This cultural bridge can reach a place of hyper-individualism, self-centeredness, a focus on family values, all of which are key components of American conservatism. That, in tandem with the grind culture that a lot of immigrants are forced to adopt, encourages a sense of hyper-individualism that actually tends to be exemplified by how America decides who can come in or not. Look at the statistics of the most successful ethnic groups in America. A large portion of them tend to be South or East Asian. This is because of the specific and selective immigration policies America has in place. People think we have an immigrant problem, but they don't actually know how difficult the process is and how privileged you have to be. So for those that do make it in, it encourages a sense of privilege, of hierarchy, of I am better than. Money becomes a symbol of that status and family success. I mean, how often do you see a dark-skinned, like truly South Indian in America? People don't even know they exist. I see videos all the time of dark-skinned South Asians on social media, and there will be comments by Americans ignorantly questioning these people's ethnicity. This is because when it comes to Indians, we're only exposed to higher caste, higher status, lighter-skinned Indians. My last name, Sharma, is a higher caste name. I mean, these are things that we have to be aware about. This is how we become conditioned to serve a system. And as we become consumed by this system and our personal goals, all of a sudden, our cultural identity, what you and your parents sought to preserve, is being lost. It's becoming alienated and it's being attacked. Your only options are to assimilate, conform, and keep your head down and push on. But as the child of an immigrant, you are in a unique position. You can actually use the generational and cultural disconnection between your parents to your advantage by just simply observing, paying attention to how they have been influenced by all of these factors, and then taking action. And if you're the child of a successful immigrant, then you have a unique duty. Sure, to live up to their success in whichever way that means to you, but also to protect them. So this is step 4. Embrace your cultural roots. We have the resources to keep our parents grounded, keep their eyes open to what is important: culture, community, identity. And by knowing and understanding what parts of themselves they sacrificed just so you could live a prosperous life, we could either attempt to remind them or carry them onto future generations. Distinct culture, or DEI, whatever you want to call it, is immensely important. If we stand complacent and let oppressive systems wash out already marginalized groups of people, then we will have lost it all. Who we are as people and a community will always be the most important aspect of our identities. Being successful in a country that is built against you is an achievement. But if it costs you your cultural identity, then is it really a win? So how do you radicalize your immigrant parent? You don't. You kind of just let them radicalize themselves by asking questions about their home country and their childhood and allow them to reminisce. Our parents might be able to remind themselves who is actually being affected here. Them. Because they're losing their culture. At the very best, we can open their eyes to what once was and how it should be. And at the worst, we're preserving a culture that we can pass down to our future children. That's the end of this video. My name's Saji Sharma. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. All right, peace.